Okay, so are you ready to dive into a case that might just change how we think about protecting reputations online?
Oh, absolutely. This one's a real doozy.
It's Waller v. Barrett, and trust me, this one's got more twists and turns than your favorite thriller.
And what's really interesting about this case is it goes beyond the usual defamation stuff, where someone's spreading lies.
Right, yeah.
This is about protecting reputations when the info shared is technically true,
Hmm.
but it's still deeply private and could really damage someone's life.
So, like, imagine someone posts something true about you online, but it's, like, super embarrassing or even hurtful.
Exactly.
Could this case, Waller v. Barrett, give you a way to fight back?
That's the question, isn't it?
All right, so let's set the stage. Who are the players in this legal drama?
Well, at the center, we have Lynn Waller and her father, Romy Barrett.
Okay.
And this whole thing stems from a pretty horrific incident where Romy was brutally attacked,
Oh, wow.
stabbed multiple times.
Stabbed multiple times.
Yeah, and even had his throat slit.
Oh, my gosh.
And the attacker,
Who did this?
his own wife, Diane,
His wife.
Lynn's mother.
Wow, that's intense. Attacked by your own spouse.
It is, and Diane was eventually convicted of attempted murder.
Attempted murder.
Yeah, sentenced to 12 years.
12 years.
But the story doesn't end there.
Of course not. This is just getting started.
Right, in the years that followed, Romy started sharing his story publicly.
Okay.
Interviews, a book, even TV appearances.
So pretty standard for someone who's gone through something so traumatic.
Yeah, you'd think so, right? A way to process what happened, maybe help others?
Yeah. So where does the legal battle come in?
While Romy was sharing his story, he also revealed details about Lynn.
About his daughter.
Yeah, and her reactions to all of this.
I see.
And remember, this is a family that's been shattered by violence.
Right.
A mother in prison for trying to kill her husband.
Yeah.
Lynn was already deeply affected by the trauma,
Makes sense.
and she felt betrayed by her father's very public disclosures.
So she sued him for what, airing family secrets?
Not exactly. Remember what we said about uncharted legal territory?
Okay, this is where it gets interesting.
This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Lynn wasn't suing for defamation.
Not defamation.
No, the information Romy shared was largely accurate.
Hmm.
Her argument was that he breached her privacy and confidence
Okay.
by revealing things that, while true, were deeply personal and shouldn't have been made public.
So it's not about proving lies. It's about what's okay to share, even if it is the truth,
You got it.
especially when it comes to family and personal trauma.
Exactly. This case raises all sorts of questions about where we draw the line
Yeah. Where's that line?
between freedom of expression and the right to privacy.
Especially in an age where anyone can share anything online.
It's a whole new world out there.
So how does this case potentially impact those who are dealing with, like, reputational harm
Right.
from truthful but private information being shared?
This case could be huge for lawyers who specialize in reputation management.
Okay.
It provides a potential legal avenue for clients who haven't been technically defamed, but have been harmed by the revelation of sensitive private information.
Okay.
It suggests that individuals may have grounds to seek legal recourse,
Yeah,
even when the information shared is factually accurate.
So this is getting really interesting. Let's get into the specifics of Waller v. Barrett.
Let's do it.
What exactly did Romy do that led to Lynn taking legal action?
Well, there were a few specific instances highlighted by the court.
Okay.
For example, during the lead up to his book, Love You to Death.
I love you to death.
Romy was in contact with journalists and his co-author, and he shared some pretty personal details about Lynn.
About Lynn.
Yeah, he even revealed information from counseling session he had with her.
Wait, so even though these were real conversations, the court considered them private?
Yes, the context was key here.
Okay.
The court found that the counseling session in particular created an expectation of confidentiality.
Right.
So even if the information shared was factually accurate,
Yeah.
disclosing it without consent could be considered a breach of confidence.
Wow, so it's not just about truth or lies, but about where and how information is shared.
That's right.
This could have huge implications, especially for those concerned about their digital footprint.
Absolutely. This case suggests that even in the online world,
Yeah.
where information spreads like wildfire, there might be legal protections for those whose privacy has been violated,
Okay.
even if the information itself isn't technically false.
So it's about respecting boundaries.
It is. It's about respecting the boundaries of what's appropriate to share publicly.
Especially with sensitive personal information.
Right.
All right, so we've got this legal precedent that could help protect reputations from truthful but damaging disclosures.
Right.
But there's more to this story, right?
Oh yeah, there's a lot more to unpack.
Let's dig into the legal arguments Lynn used.
And what the court ultimately decided.
Okay.
It gets pretty fascinating. Lynn's case wasn't just about breach of confidence.
Okay.
She also brought up claims of invasion of privacy and even negligence.
Invasion of privacy and negligence. We'll dive into those next.
We will. Lynn's case was really multifaceted. She claimed Romy's actions were a breach of statutory duty, negligence, breach of confidence, and even invasion of privacy.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
It is, and what's remarkable is this case marks the first time a tort of invasion of privacy.
Invasion of privacy.
Yeah, has been recognized in the state of Victoria, Australia.
Whoa, that's groundbreaking. So this case could potentially set a precedent for how privacy is protected down under.
It certainly has that potential.
And this could have major implications for lawyers and their clients seeking to protect their reputations from the disclosure of private information.
Right? Absolutely. The court really grappled with defining this new tort, and they established that relief could be granted when private matters are made public, in a way that a reasonable person would consider highly offensive.
Highly offensive.
It's a significant development in Australian law.
For sure.
And it could be a really powerful tool for lawyers advising clients on protecting their privacy and reputation.
Okay, so let's break down these legal claims one by one. First up, breach of statutory duty.
Right.
What law did Lynn allege Romy violated?
Lynn claimed that Romy breached a family violence intervention order.
What's that?
It's also known as an IVO.
Okay, an IVO.
These orders protect individuals from harm or harassment,
Okay.
and they often restrict communication or publication of information about the protected person.
So Lynn argued Romy's public statements about her directly violated this protective order.
That's right. It seems like a pretty clear-cut violation.
Yeah, you would think.
But the court's decision was a bit more nuanced.
Oh, really?
They decided that while Romy's actions might have technically breached the terms of the IVO, there wasn't enough evidence to prove he intended to defy the court's authority or cause Lynn harm.
So even though his actions technically violated the order, the court wasn't convinced he was deliberately trying to cause trouble.
Exactly. They focused on the IVO's purpose,
Which was
to protect Lynn from harm or harassment.
Okay.
And they concluded that while Romy's disclosures might have upset her, they didn't necessarily constitute harm or harassment in the legal sense.
Okay, so that's the breach of statutory duty claim. What about Lynn's claim of negligence?
Right, so with the negligence claim, Lynn asserted that Romy, as her father, owed her a duty of care.
Duty of care.
Yeah, to prevent mental harm.
To prevent mental harm.
Interesting. She argued his public disclosures, especially those sensitive details about her emotional state and family relationships, were negligent and directly contributed to her psychological distress.
So she's saying he had a responsibility as her parent to protect her from emotional harm.
Exactly.
And that he failed by sharing this information publicly.
Yes, but the court didn't fully agree.
Oh.
While they acknowledged a parent's moral obligation,
Yeah.
they hesitated to establish a broad legal duty of care in this context.
I see.
They were concerned about the potential implications of creating a tort of negligent interference with privacy.
So being a parent doesn't automatically equal a legal duty to prevent emotional harm?
Not necessarily.
It seems like a tricky area for the law to navigate.
It definitely is. The court suggested that existing frameworks like defamation law and the new tort of invasion of privacy offered more appropriate avenues to address these harms.
So the court wasn't ready to create a whole new legal concept based on this case.
Not this time.
But what about Lynn's claims of breach of confidence and invasion of privacy? Were those successful?
This is where the court sided with Lynn, at least partially.
Okay.
They found that Romy had breached her confidence by disclosing details about their relationship.
Okay.
Especially information shared during a counseling session.
So even though he didn't violate the IVO in the way Lynn initially claimed, the court still acknowledged that some of what he shared was confidential.
Exactly. They emphasized that certain settings, like therapy, create an implicit expectation of privacy. Disclosing information from those settings, even if true, can be a breach of confidence.
That makes sense. It's not just about the truth of the information, but about the context and the understanding of privacy in that context.
Precisely. And this is really significant for lawyers and their clients.
How so?
It reinforces that legal protection can go beyond just proving falsehoods.
Okay.
It can also involve safeguarding sensitive information shared in private.
So the court found Romy liable for breach of confidence. What about the invasion of privacy claim? Was that successful too?
Yes, partially. And this is a big deal because, as I mentioned, this was the first case to recognize a tort of invasion of privacy in Victoria.
Right, that was huge.
Specifically, the court found Romy's disclosure of a private email from Lynn,
An email?
in which she apologized to him, was an invasion of her privacy.
So even though the email and apology were real, sharing them publicly crossed the line?
Correct. The court decided Lynn had a reasonable expectation that the email would remain private.
Okay.
And that disclosing it publicly, especially given the sensitive family dynamics, was highly offensive.
It seems like the court is saying that even truthful information can be harmful when shared inappropriately.
That's the key takeaway here.
What were the consequences for Romy? Did Lynn receive damages for these violations?
She did. The court awarded her $10,000 for the breaches of confidence.
$10,000.
And $30,000 for the invasion of privacy plus interest.
$30,000 plus interest.
But there's another layer to the financial outcome of this case that we need to discuss.
Oh, it sounds like there's more to this story than just the damages for breach of confidence and invasion of privacy.
There is.
What else was considered in the financial judgment?
Here.
Okay, so we've been talking about this fascinating case, Waller v. Barrett, right? And how it could offer new ways to protect reputations.
Right.
Even when the information out there is true. We've covered the emotional turmoil, the breach of confidence.
The invasion of privacy.
But there's another piece to this puzzle.
Money.
Money. What were the financial consequences for Romy's actions?
You're right. The financial outcome of this case is really significant.
Okay.
We've talked about the damages Lynn received.
Right.
For the breaches of confidence and invasion of privacy.
Right, related to Romy's public disclosures.
Exactly. But the biggest financial hit actually came from the equitable compensation she received for something else entirely.
Okay, remind me. What was that about again?
So remember how Romy basically took the money and ran?
He did.
After winning the lawsuit against Diane?
Right.
He only enforced the part of the judgment that awarded him damages.
Yeah.
Leaving Lynn's portion unenforced.
Right. He prioritized his own financial gain over hers.
He did.
Even though she was part of that lawsuit.
Right.
So how did the court factor that into the final judgment?
Well, the court decided that Romy benefited unfairly by only enforcing his part of the judgment.
Makes sense.
They calculated that he received roughly $1,157,000 from that.
Wow, over $1 million.
Yeah, to balance the scales.
Okay.
The court awarded Lynn equitable compensation. Equal to half that amount.
$500,000.
A whopping $578,500.
Wow. That really highlights the potential financial risks of breaching fiduciary duty.
It does.
Especially when it comes to someone else's legal and financial interests.
Absolutely. This case sets a precedent for how courts might approach similar situations in the future. It shows that courts are willing to go beyond just ordering the return of misappropriated funds. They can also provide substantial financial remedies to address the wider consequences of breaches of trust.
So the lesson here is that actions have consequences.
They do.
Even when you're dealing with technically true information.
That's right.
Romy's choice to put his own interests ahead of Lynn's resulted in a hefty financial penalty.
It did. This case is a powerful reminder of the importance of seeking legal counsel when you're navigating tricky situations involving reputation, privacy, and finances. Experts can help people understand their rights and obligations.
Makes sense.
And make smart decisions that protect their interests.
It sounds like Waller v. Barrett is a landmark case, especially for those who have been harmed by the publication of truthful but private information.
Right.
It suggests that legal recourse is possible.
It does.
Even when traditional defamation laws don't apply.
Exactly.
It challenges us to think differently about the boundaries of privacy and reputation in a world where information can be shared so easily.
What this case highlights is that we're all entitled to a degree of privacy. Even in the digital age.
Right.
And when that privacy is violated, the law might offer a way to seek justice. And protect what we hold dear.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
It has.
It's a reminder that the law can sometimes provide surprising avenues for seeking justice.
For sure.
And for anyone listening who's ever felt powerless against the spread of information online, Waller v. Barrett offers a glimmer of hope.
Hope?
A reminder that the truth doesn't always give someone the right to share everything.
Right.
Until next time, stay curious.